crafties, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am doing a much awaited craft tutorial. It's not necessarily crochet today, so you can throw that hook aside. All you're going to need today are some scissors, you're going to need some anti-slip matting, and you're going to need some yarn and a yarn needle wherever it went to. Ha! There it is. And without further ado, we're going to get started. Today we will be making a pom-pom rug, as the title suggests. If you guys have been keeping up with things, you'll know that I made one recently with my pop colors for my room, and I love how it turned out, and I've had some nice feedback from it as well. I've been looking forward to making this tutorial. So today I have a piece of the matting cut out already. I guess I could have said pre-cut, but that's fine. So my other rug that's on my floor is 24 by 10.5, so it's small, narrow, good enough for the end of my bed. This piece is about 7 by 10.5 or something like that, maybe 10 by 10. I think I rolled it out a little more, but nowhere near the length of my other rug. Before we get started, I wanted to mention you kind of want to even off your edges. I mean, it doesn't matter, it just depends on what you're going to use this for. If you're going to sell it, then you're going to want to make sure that your edges are nice and neat and presentable, because people are going to thoroughly inspect their products when they buy them. Also, if you have kept up with the channel, you'll know that I think in the first week of the new year I posted a pom-pom tutorial to kind of prelude to this video. But if you have not watched that video, that's a-okay, because I'm going to be showing you guys how to make pom-poms today. First of all, I am going to show you guys my two colors. I'm bringing back this turquoise. I need to get rid of it. And this other stripe that I unboxed from my first unboxing, it is called Calm Stripe. It's also a Red Heart Super Saver. Now, you don't have to use 3 colors. Obviously today I'm just using 2 that kind of go together, in my opinion, and I'm going to have fun with it. And I'm going to put this to the side. Now, for my rug, personally, I made 55 pom-poms. So here's to hoping today we don't need 55 pom-poms. So what you're going to do is take your yarn of choice and keep your scissors handy. I like pulling from the center string, but the center string doesn't always like to agree with me, so that's okay. We're gonna find that center string, just like that. Okay, and we're gonna put our yarn in the bin. Now, for pom-poms, you can do this either way, but I prefer to have my string laying out. So you're gonna wanna cut a length of string and have it laying across your workspace. You can either use snips or scissors. I won't be particular about that. I used both while making my pom-poms. And what you're going to do is take your yarn and wrap the tail end around just to kind of secure it like that. Now, I like using this part of my hand because that way my pom-pom stays consistent and it's not creating a tourniquet of death around my fingers. So what I'm going to do is, some people say wrap it about 50 times around your hand. You can do more, you can do less, but the more times you wrap the yarn around your hand, the bigger your pom-pom will be. And for this rug, you're going to kind of want it to be a little fluffy. Some people choose to comb out their pom-poms after they do them. I did not want to do that, so it's not like that on my rug. And I won't be doing that today either, but I'm just gonna kind of get into a rhythm here. It's a new skein of yarn, so I got a little bit of resistance going on, and I'm just gonna wrap my yarn around my hand. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. This is a yarn buster. I went through 3.5 almost skeins of yarn making my rug, so looks can be deceiving. It's an easy project, but if you're looking to get rid of last year's stash, this is definitely a good project. These make good gifts. They make of course good home decor, so you know, good ideas. There's nothing like crafting things and then giving them away and people are like, oh, you made that? It's the best thing. So obviously I'm not keeping count with how many times I wrap this around my hand, but I do kind of gauge it and decide when I'm tired of having this tightly wrapped yarn around my hand, which is about now. And I'm just gonna cut my yarn. It doesn't matter if the yarn is coming over or under your hand, you just snip it when you're ready. My scissors are dull. And you can take it off your hand carefully so you don't unravel everything. And you're gonna lay it across the string on your table like so. And I always like to pull this a little bit. It doesn't matter if either side is too long. One of these sides is going to get cut, but what you're going to do is just take this string that was laying on your desk and you're going to tie it across the middle of your pom-pom like this. You're going to pull it kind of tight. And if you pull it tight enough, you should be able to easily flip it over and tie it again. Some people say that's superfluous, but you don't want your pom-pom coming apart on you, because a rug is one of those high usage kind of things and people are going to be treading on, so you don't want fibers everywhere. Okay? And I knot it. I tied mine 3 times. Maybe a 4th time because I'm paranoid. Okay. So now you have these 2 sides, and what you're going to do is kind of put your finger in there, kind of find an end to the tunnel, so to speak, on both sides. So you can put your scissors in there and just start snipping. And pom-poms used to fascinate me because I thought they were something difficult to make, but as it turns out, they are the easiest craft project you can possibly imagine. And what I'm doing right now is just kind of forking it out with my scissors, and this does 2 things. One, it kind of makes my pom-pom look fuller, but then it also finds and snags those loops that didn't get cut. And you don't want any uncut loops in your pom-pom. You want your pom-pom to look nice and full. Make those scrap pieces fall out. Usually I'm pretty good about not having too many scrap pieces fall out of my pom-poms. But yeah, it looks like I got all those. And after thorough inspection, you go to the other side. Kind of disregard that little guy hanging there. And we're going to start snipping on this side as well. So yeah, you don't need all the fancy tools to make a pom-pom. It's not that difficult. The best tools in the world are your hands. 1, because they're free. But 2, they're just simpler to use in my opinion. I never could or really understood the pom-pom maker gadget thing, but in my opinion it's just a money maker. So after you finish snipping your side, you're going to shake it out a little bit. Like I said, make sure those scrap pieces fall out. And there should be a longer side and a shorter side to that string that you tied to your pom-pom. So I suggest cutting the shorter end and leaving the longer end for sewing, because you will need to sew it. And I found some loops. Look at there. My nails come in handy for a change. Do I find any more? No. Okay. And so now I have a nice little pom-pom. I like how this yarn looks with pom-poms. I'm going to move that yarn over there. Okay. And I'm going to grab my handy little mat here. And what I did while making my pom-pom rug was just kind of place my pom-poms on the mat as I went along making them, because I pre-cut that length of mat as well, and I wanted to know before I started tacking stuff down how many poms I was going to need. And this definitely helps you gauge that. Plus it helps you kind of gauge with the irregularities of making pom-poms, because sometimes you do get tired of that yarn being around your hand and you make them smaller, and that's totally fine. You can always make more if you wanted to make your rug look fuller at some point. And now starting over with a free pulling piece. I don't know what happened to the other piece. I'm just gonna wrap and wrap and wrap until I feel like I have a pretty decent sized pom-pom. I don't understand this skein and why it's so kinky. I guess it's just the yarn today. Sometimes you come across those problems with yarn. So in today's tutorial, while making these pom-poms, I'm also going to show you guys how to sew them on to the back and sew them on neatly. Because I don't know about you guys, but I like to look at the back of projects that have a reverse side and try to see if I can spot the errors in them. I don't know if that's just me being nitpicky or what, but it's kind of interesting to see the different kinds of little mistakes and cover-ups you can find on the back of a project. Okay. And I estimate if you cut out a piece that is about the size of mine, like I said, I cut out a probably 10.5 by 10 piece. I estimate you're going to need 5 or 6 pom-poms going across and probably 6, maybe 7 going down. So perhaps 35 pom-poms in total. I'm not going to make all my pom-poms on camera. I am going to sit and wrap and cut and snip, and I will meet you guys back when I actually have enough to sew on to this project. Alright crafty, so as you can see, I have laid out my pom-poms. I have 26 of them across this 10 by 10.5 inch square, and unfortunately I ran out of the turquoise. Well, I guess it's kind of fortunate because this is supposed to be a stash buster, so woohoo. And like I said earlier in the video, it's easier to lay these out on your matting to kind of get an idea of how many you needed, and actually 26 was a lot for this little piece, so that's going to make for a fuller rug. So when you get to the point where you filled up your mat, you can take a pause. But now I'm going to head over to my desk so that I can show you guys how to start sewing these bad boys down. Okay, so now in order to secure this down to the mat, what you're going to do is thread your yarn through your yarn needle or your darning needle, and you're going to find a spot on the mat, not too close to the edge or anywhere, because if any of these little perforations snap, that means you have a missing pom-pom at some point. You don't want that. So I'm going to go in about here, I think is good, on my mat, and I'm just going to push the needle through the hole like that, pulling the yarn out the other side. And I'm holding this fairly tight because I want my pom-poms to be secure. And so now, kind of folding this matting over so I can see, what I'm going to do is go into one of these holes nearby where I just threaded through, and I'm going to guide my needle through there and come back out of the same hole that the original string is coming out of. Like that. And make sure your little strings don't get caught in while you're securing this down. And now what I'll do is insert my needle in this loop that I'm holding, and I'm going to pull it tight. Now on my personal rug, I only tied it one time this way, but that's because there's low traffic in my room and it's more of a decorative piece than a walking on piece. But if you plan on having people walk on it, or if you're going to use this for sitting on, go ahead and knot it twice in the same manner. Okay, And then what I did, if I can quit losing my yarn out of my needle, there we go. Okay. Then what I do is I come back out and guide that string kind of through the middle of the pom-pom, bringing it up and pulling it snug, making sure that it's pretty, not too tight to where this thing wrinkles, but tight enough. And then I cut it off. And it helps, it helps a little bit to refluff these little guys as you sew them on so that they maintain their fluffiness. But I'm gonna go ahead and sew on the next one in the same way. So that is threading your yarn needle, finding that sweet spot, kind of try to keep in the same general row of the others that you've tacked down, and we are just going to sew him down too. And again, it's okay if your pom-poms are irregular. It's good if you have more poms than you need, because then you can make a fuller rug. Alright, finding a hole close by and pushing my needle through. And I'm going to do this twice because I'm going to give this to somebody and I'm thinking they might actually use it for something. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and secure. And then I'm going to bring it up. So the reason I do it like this is because, say if you are going to sell these, make these to sell, you want them to look really, really neat and well done. And in this way you don't have a bunch of little dangly knots on the back, and it looks kind of professional to the length of a crafter. So I'm going to snip that and trash my palms. Threads, yeah. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions for future videos, this would be a great time to hit me up in the comments down below and let me know what you would like to see in the future. I am always willing to do videos that the community wants to see. I already did one suggestion and it's ready for editing for next month. So I have a bunch of goodies for you guys this month as well. But yeah, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. That would really help me out and help me keep producing the content that you love. Likewise, consider checking out the coffee page and donating a coffee, because that keeps me doing these projects that you guys like to see and funds them, and it keeps the videos from being full of ads as well, because that is definitely a consideration that I had to think over monetizing my videos, and I know the video ads get a little annoying. So if you guys could help me out, that would be wonderful. Okay, I made like a monster pom-pom here. Also, crafties, if you know other crafties that might not have heard of my page, feel free to share this video, other videos. Follow us on Facebook. I recently made the Facebook page, I think a little bit before the new year, so that was great. And I'm always posting updates there, on Twitter, Instagram, and just a host of other social media that I manage all of them myself. So I can't remember if I did that twice. Oops, it'll be okay. So, should you make an oopsie? Let me reach over here. Should you make an oopsie and not tie it twice? I always have my friend Frey check here. Now, some people might hot glue these down. I don't recommend it. I did a regular kind of rug knitted, and I thought that I would glue the backing onto it, and it's very hard and there's parts under it that can hurt your feet. So I wouldn't recommend that. But this also ups your sewing skill. So, I mean, there's a benefit to sewing down all these palms. Okay. And finding a hole. And if it helps, you can get graphing paper and kind of map out designs. I thought about this at the last minute, but this matting is kind of like working on a grid. So doing that makes it just a little bit easier visually to create your design. Okay. And I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to continue sewing on my pom-poms until I have each and every last one secured down. Okay, crafties, that finishes off the rug. I'm sorry for the little time lapse over. My battery died on me while I was sewing on the pom-poms. But yeah, now I'm gonna flip this rug over now that it's on my floor and show you guys the backing of it.
Okay, Crafty, so this is the back of my rug. As you can see, I kind of rounded off the corners so as to not need more pom-poms, first of all, because I did run out of yarn, unfortunately. And then also just to kind of make it look nice. And as you can see, I'm gonna zoom in here just a little bit. The knots, they aren't really that evident. Like, they just look like little dots, and that definitely shows where you sewed everything down, but they're not messy, which I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I can appreciate that. And it's very similar to my own rug, which I've also flipped over here, and it has the same sewing style. Like I said, I don't my room is not a high traffic area, so I didn't need to tack it down as much as I did with the one that I just made with you guys today. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed yourselves. Oh, little palms going everywhere. This tutorial was brought to you today by the letter A. Yay for the alphabet. If you enjoyed this video today, I hope that you would consider subscribing, give us a good thumbs up on the video, and check out our other social media as well. I do have a Ravelry page where I sell and post free patterns. And yeah, until next time, happy making.